Hello, good afternoon, and happy Tuesday. I am so excited to share this project. This is something that I was inspired on Pinterest by, and I saw it and I was like, we could do that, we can make it. And so I'm going to be showing you how to take our mini wood word sign. So this sign actually comes with, you get your choice of grateful, thankful, or blessed word cutouts. But I'm not going to be using the cutout today. And we're going to be making this adorable little snow globe sign. So I've got all my supplies here. I'm going to go through the supplies that I have really quickly. I've linked the sign on here as well as the transfers that I'll be using, which are the Gather Together transfers. So let me just kind of show you what I've grabbed. We're going to be doing a few different techniques. I'm going to show you the Chippy paint technique using 3 colors and the wax. We're going to use the wax today. So we're going to do a color. We're going to put the wax on. We're going to do a couple colors, put the wax on, then put the white on, then we're going to scrape it off. So I'm going to show you how to do that. I've got glitter here on the snowflake. And then I've got decoupage on the bottom. Then we've got our rub-on transfer. We've got a cute little wreath in there. We're going to add the snow. I've got some glitter and snow on the little wood block as well. And jutes and bells. So let me go through and grab what I have. Hey, Lisa. Hey, Monica. So to get started, obviously I have the word sign. So again, this is the word shadow box sign. I'm not going to be using the word today, but it's on the site for $9.99. You can pay grateful, thankful, or blessed to use the word on something else. So I've got that frame here. I've got 3 little rusty jingle bells. I've got the little mini wreath. Now I have these from last year's ornament maker, but I've seen them at Hobby Lobby. So if you're not sure where to get the little wreaths, they have them there. I just have a little wood branch. This is actually out of my yard that I just cut. I do like to find ones that have like the little nubbies on them. I feel it just gives it more personality. And then I have got the snow globe, 1/2 of it. Now, I do have people asking all the time if we sell the snow globes extra. I did not order enough extra this year because these come in the ornament maker kit to be able to sell these extra. I've learned my lesson. Next year we will. However, I've seen them at Hobby Lobby in multiple sizes. So, hey, Christine, you found me. So you can get those at Hobby Lobby. And this is the snowflake from this month's angel kit. I didn't use it on the angel, so I'm going to be using it on this. So in addition, I have grabbed the Gather Together transfer sign set. And I've used this graphic right here. So that's the one I'm going to be using. And then I also grabbed the vintage postcard maker set or mini sign maker set. I want to use this one here. I'm actually going to add that to the bottom of it this time. So again, these are just from this is from my scraps, but that's the set that it came out of. Then I've also got, we're going to need some jute. I do have my friction pen, but you can also use a pencil. This is just a pen that disappears when you heat it. But again, you can use a pencil. And then I just have this big sheet of scrapbook paper. And for the example, I used this corner. I'm going to be using this corner. For my sign, I have a piece cut that fits inside of it. And I just keep this piece as a template. So every time I need to measure something to go on the inside of this sign, I use this template. So that's all this is. It's already preset so that we can put it in there. I have a piece of cardboard I'll be working on because we're going to be using a bunch of different colors here, and I don't want to get the colors messed up on my mat. So I have that, and then I also have a piece of cardstock for when we add the glitter, and I've got my parchment paper. I have my hot glue gun, my iron, my heat gun. Of course, I have the Dixie Belle Best Dang Wax in Brown. And the 3 colors that I'm going to be using today are you know what? We should try some different colors. I'm definitely going to be using the plaster. Let me see if there's some other. It would be fun to put some different colors in here. Maybe we bring in a red for Christmas. Let's do a red and a black. All right, I'm not gonna use the brown on this one. I'm gonna use a red and a black. So I'm doing red first, then black, then we're gonna do the wax, then the white. Scissors. I have not used this glue yet before, and I used it last night to attach the globe, and I did like working with it. So I'm gonna use this again. I got this on Amazon. I think it's listed in my favorite things. It's a 3-in-1 crystal clear instant grab fast dry glue. it wasn't an instant. It was enough that I was able to move it a little bit and then it stuck really good. I wanted to try this because it's easier to get out of the container because we have to put it on this very small edge here. And it's too hard. It was too hard for my hands to get the E6000 or the E7000 out of it. So I'm going to use this. You could use hot glue, but again, hot glue gets, by the time you get all the way around, can like push your globe up off of the back of there. And I'm trying to keep it as flat as possible. So I'm going to be using that one. I have my Mod Podge, I have my glitter, I have my jute, and I've got my snow. So I used this one in it. And then you could also use the little balls that came with your ornament maker kit. So maybe I use these ones this time, just give you another idea of how you can use those. And then I think that's it. Oh, I do have one of these old brushes because we're going to be using this to do the splattering on the little piece of wood. I think that's it. All right. So to get started, we're going to start with the paint because we need to do a few layers on this. So I'm going to move this stuff aside. Oh, Lisa says she uses that glue all the time. Oh, okay, perfect. I saw another creator using it and that's why I snagged it. And I'm pretty sure this is the first time I've used it on anything, and I was pleasantly surprised. So it might become my go-to. Have you used it to attach, Lisa, the wood onto wood? Like if you could you use that in replacement of the E6000 or E7000? I would be interested in knowing that. Okay, so with this one, I did not finish the insides. I don't know if you can see inside here, like this wood in here is actually raw. I wasn't a fan of that. So I am going to hit the insides first with the wax because again, I didn't like how that really wasn't finished. And we don't need to get it like perfectly, but I just want a little bit of color on the inside. And don't worry about getting it on this back part because that's going to be covered up with the paper. But I just didn't like it so obvious, and you probably wouldn't even have noticed if I hadn't pointed it out, but it's bugging me. So I'm just going to take my wax and just catch the inside. You could also paint the inside, but we're going to be doing a bit of painting today, so I just wanted to just catch the inside. All right, so super messy, but literally that's all we needed to do. Just hit it with a little bit of color. I'm going to take my rag and just get off any excess so that it doesn't decide to migrate somewhere else. Lisa says she has worked it wood to wood and it works great. All right, I might have to switcheroo because I will tell you the arthritis in my hands is not a fan. Squeezing that dang glue out. All right, let's come in here with the red. We're going to do red first. And this is where I use this because I don't want to get everything on I have to move quickly when I do these, so I don't want to get it everywhere. All right, so this is a ruby, I think, crimson. Sorry, crimson. So we're going to take it and we're going to go across the top and then, oops, we're going to shake it up because if you put your paint on and it's clear and it's chalk paint, it should not look like that. So you can tell I don't use this one very much, or at least I haven't yet. Here, I better get this one out of the way so I don't get red paint on it. All right. Yeah, if you put your chalk paint on and it's clear like that, not what we're going for. It should have pretty decent coverage with one coat. There we go. And I'm just gonna try and keep it on the top here. So don't be dragging your brush down that way because we don't want to color the inside. We've already got the color that we want it. So I'll do the top and just the edges. I did not finish the back on this. You could. For time today, I probably won't. But if I was making it for myself, I would. So we're just going to do one coat all the way around. If you want a super bright coat, you could do another coat. But since we're going to be layering coats, we're just kind of trying to we want enough red that it's going to peek through. Because we're going to have the white on top of this, so you're not going to see all of the red. Now the second color we're going to come in here with is the black. But it doesn't have to be a black. It could be a turquoise would be really pretty too, I think. So we're going to do the one coat and then we'll hit it with the heat gun and then do the second. And that's also why I did the wax first, because you can see I'm just going over the wax with the paint. I can tell you, today's class is tutorial is the same time for all of you, but we don't do time change. So we're actually an hour later than we normally are. And I know Christine was like, I can't find you. And it's because it changed for us, but not for you. I like to leave it Pacific time because that way it's always the same for you guys, even though Arizona doesn't change time, and it gets so confusing for us when everyone else does. All right, we're just gonna hit this outside edge. And I think we have it all the way around. If you have any areas that are a little bit thin, like this is just a little bit lighter than I'd like it to be, you can just do another quick, again, you don't have to cover it super thick because we're gonna put a couple layers on here of other colors. But if there's anywhere where it's really light, you can hit it again. All right, I'm gonna hit that with the heat gun. Yeah, Monica, yep. Hey, Susan. All right, that's pretty good. All right, now we're just gonna come in with our second color. Now, the second color, I generally don't cover the whole thing. What I will do is I'm just gonna hit certain areas of it. And again, it's my black, so I have to go into the vortex of not being able to see anything here. All right, so we're just gonna get a little bit of the black, and then we're just gonna come in and we're just gonna drag it randomly. We're not going to cover the whole thing. We just kind of want little areas where it's going to like peek through. I generally like to hit the corners and then I just kind of rotate. So like I'll hit the inside here. We're not getting super picky with this. We're just adding it in a few places so we can kind of get some peek through. We don't want to completely cover the red. And we kind of also don't want that where it's like a chunky line. That's pretty much it. I'm just going to leave it just like that. All right, that's it for the black. All right, we're going to hit it with the heat gun again. If you have any chunky spots like that, you can just wipe it off. All right, pretty good. So now we have the two colors. Oh, that's a little chunky there too. If it's chunky, just wipe it off so it doesn't get everywhere. We do want to make sure that it's dry. All right, so now I'm going to come in and I'm just going to drag this candle kind of wherever. Like hit the inside edges, hit the outside edges, get some of the top. You can pretty much just cover it. All right, so it just looks like kind of a waxy mess. That's what we're looking for. All right, now we're gonna come in with our white. And we're gonna do our white. The same way that we did the red, we're gonna do the top, and then we're gonna do the outside. After we get this layer on, we are gonna let it sit, and we can start doing our cutting. So again, this layer doesn't have to be super thick. It's okay if some of it's showing through. It's okay if some of it's not showing through, because we're actually gonna edge it here in a minute. So I'm gonna just come along, instead of picking it up, I'm just gonna do the sides this way. And I didn't put any wax on the side, but you could. So it's gonna look pretty messy, and that's kind of what we're looking for. Oh, Monica says her angel kit is out for delivery. Is it out? Oh, it's already out for delivery? Oh, I'm even impressed with us on that. We did get, I think all of the memberships were processed between yesterday and last night. Well, for the most of them. Those of you that had multiple things in your order, she's still working through those. But we were pretty efficient the last couple days to get all those out. I can't wait for that. It's going to be a fun project. I'm excited to do it again. Okay, I'm just going to hit the edges here. And how thick you want it on the edge is really up to you. Again, we're going to hit it with the scraper and the sander. Actually, I think last night I only just used the transfer tool on it. And it came out exactly kind of what I was looking for. I am glad that I did the practice last night, because my first go, I was going to actually use fabric on the inside, and I had such a hard time with the transfer. I was like, we're not doing this on a live. Okay. Chunky, we're going to let it sit. So while this is drying, we'll hit it with the heat gun again right before we mess with it. But for right now, we can put it aside, and let's get our pieces that we're going to need for the inside. So I'm going to switch these around. Now I just take my template, and you just kind of figure out where you want. Now I used the corner in the other one, but I could use this corner here. So it just kind of depends on how you want, what your pattern you're using is, and how you want the snowflakes to kind of show where you want them to show. So I have this snowflake. I already have this snowflake in this corner, so I might not want to use that one, but it might be cool to use this one. So I'll probably use it that way. So I'm going to take my template, put it on the opposite side. So this way, when we cut it, if we don't hit the line perfectly, we're not going to see it. And then also, because I'm using the friction pen, the heat will make it go away when I hit it. So we'll just line it up here, and we're just going to trace our little template here. And I do recommend having a template for that frame, especially if you buy multiple, because then that way you can just use it every time you're going to put something inside of it, whether it's a napkin or it's not going to matter. And I forgot, before I put the white away, we need to do a couple more things with the white. So we'll cut this out, and then I'm going to grab my white again. All right, so we're just going to cut that out, and now we have our template for the inside. Save your template so you have it for next time. And we'll get the white back out. All right, I'm going to push this little guy aside, and we're going to paint this white, and we're also going to hit our little log with the white. So where you paint the log, you're just going to want to figure out which way you want it to lay. So I'm probably going to do mine this way. So I'll just kind of get it set up and ready there. And I'm going to grab the brush that I was already using. That pen is called, it's Friction, Frix, ION. And it disappears when you apply ink. Did I put it back up here already? Where did I do with it? Oh, right here. Nope, that's a Sharpie. What did I do with it? It went into the pen vortex and it's disappearing. It comes in a 3-pack. Here's another one. Frixion. It's by Pilot. I think it's for fabric, but it works wonderful for using it for decoupage. Is this the same that you did the angel craft with? No, this is not a canvas, honey. This is a wood frame. If you're talking about the lighted angel. Susan says hers is arriving on Thursday. Oh, the wax is the Dixie Belle Best Dang wax in brown. And then the other wax I use, this is just a candle I get from Dollar Tree. So they also come in like a 3 or a 4-pack. I've had this one for like a year and I've only used like the end. Honestly, you could probably get them at like a thrift store too. All right, so we're just going to take a little bit of the white and we're just going to cover our little snowflake here. So I'm just going to give it a little coat here. And since I did glitter on the other one, I will do glitter on this, even though we're using a different glitter for the actual, whatchamacallit, the snow. Oh, we're using a different snow. All right, so we're gonna let that sit. And then I'm going to take just this junk brush that I don't really clean it. I probably should, but I'm just gonna dip it in, jam it into the, well, actually that didn't work. I'm gonna put a little bit on the edge. We don't need a lot so we only just need it a little bit wet. And then, push it on your paper so it gets any extra out. And then we're just gonna blob it onto our log here. So it looks like it's a little bit of snow, but I don't want the whole thing like covered with snow. Again, you can build this up. My paint is a little bit drier than it was last night. It doesn't want to, there we go. And I try and keep it, kind of near the top because that's where the snow would fall. And we're just doing light dabs. That's it for that. All right, I'm going to put that, I'm going to clean that this time. All right. What do we have next? I think we are ready to go ahead and I'm going to hit this with a heat gun just a little bit to make sure that we are dry. All right, this is kind of the fun part. So I just take, let me get this out of the way and we'll move stuff a little bit over here so you can see better on the overhead. So you're just going to take the flat edge of your transfer tool and we're just going to come through and we're just going to scrape. And so you can scrape off as little or as much as you want to get that chippy lick. So what it's going to do is just going to kind of peel that wax off. So I kind of just did, I'm kind of using it like I would if I was putting on a rub-on transfer, but I'm just pushing down here. So it's like actually scraping a little bit. So it's just kind of as much or as little as you want. If you go too hard, you could go all the way down to the wood, which is not a problem. On mine, it did that. And you can see on this part, it just kind of took off a chunk right there. If you wanted a little bit more finer, you could take the other end, but I've had the best luck with this end here. So I'm putting a little more pressure when I get on the edges. And just going through and scraping off. And again, you're kind of going for that chippy look, so. And then you're going to do that as much or as little as you want. I feel like it looks pretty good here. if we wanted to do a little bit more, or if you wanted to soften some of these, you can come in here and you can sand them a little bit. It's going to make them a little bit lighter. So it depends on how much of that brightness you want through there. But the whole point is it's just supposed to look kind of dinged up. I don't think I want to mess with it too more than that. All right, we will take this. I'm going to take my heat gun. When we get to doing the rub-on transfer, we don't want any of this stuff anywhere near our transfer. Because we do need a clean, dust-free surface. Let's blow this too. Hey, Teresa. All right, so next we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna put our Mod Podge in the middle of our sign, because we're gonna Mod Podge this. Since I am using a scrapbook paper, I do not need to paint the white inside, the inside white, because the scrap paper is thick enough that you're not gonna be able to see through it. You do want to make sure you're getting all the way to the edges. So I'm going to do just a quick coat here. I'm going to leave that paintbrush out. Figure out what you want to be the top and the bottom of your sign. And then this is still wet, but I'm going to put it in here because my iron does not fit in here exactly. And so I'm going to put it down wet, and then I am going to hit it with the iron, but I want to make sure that these edges catch while it's still kind of wet. And you should probably test your template before you put it in there. Lisa says the chippy paint look is her favorite. Mine too. But you can see, like, my iron doesn't really, it's not going to go into the corners. So I'm really going to only be able to, like, press the main part. So that's why I went in kind of wet. Now, I did notice last night when I was doing it that the heat from the iron does kind of go past where the iron is. So if you just come in here, make sure you don't burn yourself, but just press it all down. You should be good to go. And so now you can see the inside is with the antique in there. It's just kind of a softer look on the inside. So we'll let that sit over here for just a moment. While I have the Mod Podge out, I am going to add a little bit. I'm going to switch here so that I can put my glitter on here. I'm going to hit my Mod Podge on here. Don't look at my messy card. I need to peel that paint off. We'll just flip it over. Now on the Mod Podge, I'm going to kind of like blob it on here because I want the glitter to have something to stick to. And I'm only going to do the outside of the snowflakes because on the inside is where I'm going to put the bells anyway. So I don't need to put a whole bunch there. Otherwise, I'm just going to have issues with my bells and stuff sticking. All right, so we'll take our glitter and I'm just going to pile it on here. I just make a little pile on each of the edge. All of the snowflakes are, well, not all of them. There's like 9 different snowflakes. So the one you get might not look like this one. And this one doesn't look like the one I used last night, but that was okay. All right, scooching stuff out of the way. We will move this over here and just let it sit. Now we can figure out our rub-on transfer. And I have to open a new set for this because I already used. I thought actually about using this one, but because I wanted to use the wreath, it was a little bit big for that house. And so I just thought it looked better on this one. This one already has a wreath on it anyway. So you're just kind of going, oops, you can't even see that. You're just kind of going over the one that's already there. So I thought that just fit well. So that's what I'm going to be using. So we'll take that one out. And we are going to place it face down. Now you will need a pen for this, but what we're going to do, again, this is opposite. Let's scooch this up so you can see. I can see the design through the actual circle. You might not be able to on the video, but that's okay. So I'm going to trace the outside, and I'm mainly, the top doesn't even matter. The part that I need to make sure that I get lined up is the part down here where the design is going lower. So let me grab a pen. And this is just a regular pen, but I'm just going to kind of draw that part because that's where I need to cut the design. There's not going to be anything else around this design, so I don't need to worry about the outside of it. So I will cut this first so you can see. There you can see the design a little bit. This part of the design I don't want on there. I just want it to kind of line up with the snow globe. So I'm just going to cut that. And again, this is on the back of the piece that we're going to pull off. So you're not going to see this line. All right, and then once I have that circle cut, I can go over and just rough cut the rest. Because there's not going to be anything in this spots, and I don't want to disturb this first here so that I can use it for something else. So I ended up with a little piece that looks like this. All right, next we're going to want to get an idea of how high up we want the globe to go. So we're going to start kind of mocking out. I need a little bit of a room for the bow, and then I also have my little stick that's going to go here. So basically what I want to do is use my mat, and I'm going to kind of use this line here as to where the bottom of my transfer needs to sit. And then we should be good to go. So we can go ahead and take the back off. And again, I'm just going to leave the piece of wood there because that kind of helps me with my center. And then I'm going to just make sure that my house is centered as much this way as I can and that I have it kind of based on that line. So, you know, make sure your house is straight. And this one's a little bit of an optical illusion because you've got the lantern over here too. All right, we can push that out. And then we're going to go ahead and work our rub-on transfer in right over our scrapbook paper. I'm going to turn my hot glue gun on while we're doing this part. All right, and then I'm going to grab it at this corner that has a whole lot of extra. And then I'm just going to make sure I rub and pull at the same time. All right, and then it's going to come right off like that. So now we have our design back here. And we can see it's going to go over it just like that. So far, so good. I do want to do the secondary transfer on here while we're waiting for the hot glue gun here. I did not do this on the first one, but I just love this little Merry Christmas sign. Again, this is the vintage postcard maker or the little vintage mini sign maker. So I'm just going to cut that one out. And I'm going to hope that my paint is dry enough because we did do multiple layers. Let me just make sure we have it centered here. Again, use your mat whenever you can. Yeah, it just fits on the edges there. Careful when you're rubbing back and forth. We don't want to catch it and chip off more paint than we meant to. I'm like, okay, Mama, do not give me any issues because I know I did wax and multiple layers of paint. So just be gentle with it. You do want to make sure that the paint is cured. I did rush it a little bit, but Thank you, Jesus. It appears to be doing well. Last little star. Ta-da! All right, that little one right there, I'm going to cover it with a light little dusting of Mod Podge. Just grabbing another little teeny bit more Mod Podge. This is going to seal it. This one's going to be under the bubble, so we're not so worried about that. This one, I just want to make sure it doesn't come off, so I'm just going to give it a light coating so it has a little extra protection. And then that will seal it. Just like so. All right, so the next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to attach our little hoop, but I'm going to give my heat gun just one more moment. I'm going to go ahead and get this glitter cleaned up. So we're going to pop our snowflake off of here. So here's our little snowflake. I don't know if you can see the little sparkles in there. We'll move that one and we will capture our little glitter and stick it back in our container. All right, we got that out of the way. All right, I think we should have glue now. So with the glue, I'm going to put it all the way around the back of the wreath because these are little pokey fibers. And so there's not a whole lot that's going to be touching that. So apply your glue. And then I'm just going to line it up. Now, one thing we want to be mindful of, especially before we put the topper on and everything, is if there's any little strings or anything that you want out of there, you're going to have to get them out before we put the topper on. Because once you put the topper on, you won't be able to get in there. All right, so far, this is what we have, which would be super cute by itself. But we're going to go ahead and do the bubble next. This is the part last time that made me really nervous, which is why I tried one before. Now, this glitter is a little more, this iridescent chunky glitter is a little bit harder to work with. These little balls aren't going to be as bad. So the first thing that I do is kind of give it a little fill, and we're going to kind of see how much we want in there with a piece of jute. I don't want that. So I'll put some in there and we're going to just kind of mock it up to see. I almost feel like that's a pretty good amount. Here, I'll like hold it and flip it around for you. I feel like it's a pretty good amount. So that's the amount we're going to go with. So again, test it. And now we are going to stick it on our finger. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the glue all the way around the outside. Again, I'm using this Beacon 3-in-1 instant grab glue. It's not necessarily exactly instant, but it's instant enough. I will tell you, it did create strings. So be mindful of that because I have one string in mind. I know you can't see it in the pictures, but I can see it. So as you're like putting it on, you're going to want to get all those strings off. But this was easier to apply for me, to just kind of follow along this edge. And it's more of a liquid. And it also gave me the time to get all the way around and put it on there. So I'm just doing a little bead all the way around the edge. You don't want it so thick that it's like dripping inside your bowl, but just like enough that it's going to attach. And we're also going to glue rope on the outside. So if there's some spots that don't attach as well as you'd like, we can modify that. Okay, the mistake I made last time is I drug the bottle across the top. All right, from here, I'm gonna have to apply it like this. So might not be able to see what I'm doing, but I've got to get it on there so that I can see it. And then you have enough that I had to slide it just a little bit down so it covers my where it's supposed to, and then, you know, make sure you have it straight. And then I'm just gonna let it sit there. All right, while that's sitting, we can go ahead and get our jute ready. So it will give you a little bit of wiggle room, but it does attach. Hey, Miss Elizabeth, it does attach fairly quickly, but not so much that you can't at least slide it a little bit. So from here, I'm just going to kind of measure how much of the jute that I need. So we'll just kind of, it is still wet, so it might want to stick to it, but I'm just going to kind of rough measure what I need here. All right, we're going to say that. I still have a little bit of blobby glue down here, but that's okay. All right, so we're going to put the rope first before we put the log, because that's going to be kind of butted up on the bottom there. And with the rope, I am just going to use my hot glue and start on one side and just work it on around the edge. So again, I'm just going to start at the top, do a little dabby dab of hot glue. Use something other than your finger to attach it. I could use my little finger protector. Oh, Elizabeth said she got her kit today. Yay! And I don't do like all the way around. I just kind of do like little sections. Make sure we have it kind of tight, but not so tight it goes under the bubble. If it starts kind of going under that lip, maybe not that tight. So we're just kind of laying it around the outside. And again, just find a couple areas that you want to tack it. So that's going to cover up any of that if you had to drag the glue a little bit, or if you don't have your transfer lined up exactly and it's stuck. It's going to give you just a little bit of grace. And you can use a thicker jute too. This is the regular thin one. Probably do one more here and then up at the top. It's already so cute. All right, I'm gonna do one more there and then I'll do the top. All right, just lift up the little tail. Well, I cut that pretty dang good if I don't say so myself. All right, I got one little snowball that's on top of my thing. There we go. All right, so here's what we have so far. So cute. All right, now we just need to do our little bow on top and then attach our other two little pieces. So we'll put this one on here. We just need our jute for a little bow. I'm going to put my lid back on here so that thing doesn't dry out on me, because that would be bad. Oh, we have another YouTube video. YouTube, I can't tell. Oh, it's Gail. Hers is supposed to be there Friday. So I just kind of grab whatever I think I'm going to need for this. And we can always just cut off any extra. And then you're just going to tie a little bow. And then you can adjust the size after you get it tied. So I feel like this is a pretty decent size. And then I just snip it so that the ends aren't quite as long. But again, you can make them longer if you want. And then we are going to hot glue that little guy right there at the top. So I just put it right on the little tab from the globe, which is also why I didn't bust it off, because it kind of gives you a little area. And then I'm just going to clean up my hot glue here. All right, next we're ready to do our to attach our little log here. I did use hot glue when I did mine, so that's what I'm going to use. You just kind of want to pay attention where your stick is flat, because it's not, it's not exactly flat. So I'm going to do here, and then I'm going to do here. And I'm going to do in the middle too, because why not? I just got a string. Obviously, I have not put my glue sticks in the freezer yet. All right, I'm going to put that on the bottom. I'm just going to rub my little strings off here. If you get some little strings, just give it a little massage. All right, so even right here, so cute. We could just leave it like that. I'm going to add the little bow on the top. So for that, I just take the hot glue again, and I kind of figured out where I wanted it, so I know where to put the glue, like how you want the star, or how you want, like what angle you want. It's not a star, it's a snowflake. Figure out like which angle you want, and then you can just apply. I think I'm just going to do the whole little star here in the middle. And push her down. And then we can do our little jingle bells. So I just took 3 little jingle bells and just kind of placed them in here. I put the glue here at the top, and then just kind of clustered them all together like that. Now, if you're fancy and you want them going one way or this way or that way, that's fine. For me, it was just easier just to glue, to put your little blobby of glue on there and put her in there. Try to keep them close together. You could do something else here too. We have those big blobs of cranberries or whatever they are too. I could have used. Ooh, plus I got some new cranberries. We got a brand new, well, it's not a new Dollar Tree, but our Dollar Tree moved, and then we got like a bigger Dollar Tree, and they had more crafting stuff. So I don't have them in here, but I got some frosted cranberries, and I frosted white and frosted like red ones. And I told this would have been a good project for that, but I forgot I got them. All right, I think we have all 3 of those on there. All right, that is our sign. Again, I got a little glue string there, but that's how easy it is to make these. Now for the back, for something like this, let me remove this camera. Oops, hold on. For a sign like this, I would use this size. I have a larger tier tray, so this is something I would just put in my tier tray and like lean it. But if you want to hang it up, you can use the little hangers. Like we've had these in the kids, would be a good one to put on the back if you wanted to do a wall hanging. If you have a larger Christmas tree, a pretty big Christmas tree, you could do this as a large ornament as well. But how cute is that? And then you have so many different options with your background and your Chippy paint and whatever snow you use, whatever verses you want to put on it. Again, this is wide enough. You could do some verses around the outside. You could use a hymnal in the background. There's just so many different ways that you could do this. So let me know, are you going to try this? Because so fun. You could do it on any background as well. So if you have, we've done these on the ornament backgrounds. It does fit on the layered ornament, the topper does. So you could do the same thing with the layered ornament. But again, it's just another way to do what we would call mixed media, where we're using decoupage, and then we're using the transfers, and then we're just making it kind of fun. And I love the 3-dimensional where we have the house, and then we've got the wreath on the house. And then I've seen other ones where they put like the little Christmas trees in there. I thought about doing that as well, but the wreath just kind of worked with the houses, so I went with the wreath. But you can put little deer in here. There's all kinds of little, I've seen them at Hobby Lobby too, the little miniatures that you could glue into the bottom of the globe, then put the snow, put the transfer behind it. so many different ideas. Lisa says she's going to be trying this. Lisa, I figured this one was right up your alley, girl. As soon as I saw you pop on, I was like, oh, Lisa's going to outdo me because Lisa's so talented. So check for her stuff. I know we'll be sharing it when she does hers. But again, this is just another idea of how you can use your transfers. The Gather Together transfers are available to everybody right now. And also these wood signs we have on the store all the time. They're just the wood word signs, and the link should be in the video description. But that is it for today. I will be back next Tuesday with another probably Christmas crafting projects. I got a couple more up my sleeve that I want to try still for the season. So make sure and tune in then. I'm live on Facebook and YouTube, 12 p.m. Pacific time every Tuesday with a new faith-filled craft. Susan said that's so cute. Loved it. Showed her students and asked if they were making this. I should have, and oh, they asked if they were making this. They could. It would be so fun. When you get the globe toppers at Hobby Lobby, they come in like I think it's a 6-pack, but it's supposed to be, it's the ornaments that like you put them together and put stuff in them. So you're actually getting 12 if you're only using like half of them. So it would be a super affordable project to go get those, and you could just get a bunch of blanks and make them. But so many different backgrounds you could put this on. And you could do a longer sign and do 3 in a row. Like I saw so much stuff on Pinterest last night. I was super inspired. So again, thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you next time. And until then, happy crafting.